Alright, I'm running low on batteries, so I'm going to have to try to make this quick, but we have played the single-player campaign. We have played some of the missions that I unlocked, or was able to unlock. I didn't play all the missions. We've played the time attack mode. We played the versus mode. So we've pretty much done everything. We've also looked at the collection. We're in the options menu right now. Not much to say about the options menu. It's an options menu. Hey, what do you know? Okay, so what do I think about the game? Well, if you recall, I did play Sonic Generations on the Xbox 360, which is a completely different game from Sonic Generations on the 3DS. So I guess let's compare the two. One thing that's different about the Xbox 360 version is that between the classic Sonic stages and the modern Sonic stages, Act 1 and Act 2, they are completely different from each other, which is the opposite of the 3DS version, because on the 3DS version, the stages are very, very similar, because well, I'll talk about that in a second, but that can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on your gameplay preferences. Me personally, I like side-scrolling Sonic gameplay. That's my favorite kind of Sonic gameplay. I like that better than 3D Sonic gameplay. Not to say that I don't like 3D gameplay, it's just that I prefer the side-scrolling gameplay. Since I first was introduced to Sonic in the Genesis days for Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and Sonic & Knuckles. Those were my favorite Sonic games of all time. So that's my kind of thing. That's one thing that I do like about the 3DS version, is the side-scrolling gameplay. However, like I did mention, on the Xbox 360 version, classic Sonic and modern Sonic were different. On the 3DS version, the gameplay between the two is very, very similar, because as you know, classic Sonic does not have the homing attack that modern Sonic does, but in this game, they give it to him very early in the game, so that both of them play pretty much the same. Probably the only major difference between the two is the boost attack that modern Sonic has, but other than that, they play pretty much the same, because with the homing attack, that changes the gameplay completely, because now, when you're classic Sonic, instead of playing the stage as if you're playing a classic Sonic stage, now you're locking onto enemies with the homing attack, you're locking onto objects in the stage with the homing attack. It just changes the gameplay completely. And I think that's a detriment to it, because now the stages are designed around the homing attack. So they play like modern Sonic stages, and they don't play like classic Sonic stages anymore. They don't play like the Genesis games, which was a huge disappointment for me. Battery's looking okay right now. This is a 3DS game, so the graphics are not quite as good as the Xbox or PlayStation 3 version, but, you know, that's kind of to be expected. But the graphics are still, for a handheld, I say the graphics are very good. I mean, I'd say they're on par with the Dreamcast version of Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2. I mean, it's hard to tell because it's a small screen, but they look pretty darn good to me. And I actually haven't tried out the 3D on this game. But obviously you can't see it on the camera because it just makes it blurry. But me personally, I don't really like the 3D on the 3DS. I can not really look at it that long. It starts to hurt my eyes after a while, so I just play with it turned off. And obviously I do that anyway since I'm recording it with a camera. But in terms of presentation for Sonic Generations for the 3DS, I like the graphics, I like the sound. The sound's good. It sounds like good old classic Sonic. They put a lot of good work into the classic Genesis stages. I like seeing those stages in 3D, like Mushroom Hill Zone and Casino Night Zone. The single-player campaign was short. It was extremely short, which I think a lot of critics didn't really like about this game. But, I mean, it's a handheld game, so I don't know. It probably could have been longer, because, I mean, compare this to another game that's out, that just came out recently, when this game came out, Super Mario 3D Land. Super Mario 3D Land has a ton more content than this game. Other than the main single-player game, like I said, I did try out the missions, and I did try out Time Attack and the Versus mode. Out of those 3 extra modes, apart from the single-player campaign, I think my favorite was the missions mode, because that offered the most variety in the gameplay. It offers a different spin on each stage. It gives you specific objectives, rather than just reaching the end of the stage. And I think it added some variety to the gameplay that really helps out the longevity of this game. The only problem is you have to unlock each of the missions, so you don't get to play them all, which is kind of annoying, honestly. And then there's the Time Attack mode. The Time Attack mode, to me, it's boring. I mean, the only kind of people that would like that mode is people who just want to get better at the game. Because all it is just you're playing the stages and you're trying to beat them at faster times. So, I mean, if you've already played the single-player campaign, then the gameplay's not different at all. So, I didn't really find that interesting. The Versus mode gameplay, which is the multiplayer option. You can do it over the internet, or you can do it over local play. I don't know anybody with this game, so I'm obviously not going to do local play. So I tried it on the internet a few times, and basically it's just, you're just racing the other person, and you don't affect each other in any way. While you're playing the game, you see a little icon representing the other player going through the level. And the only difference between the Versus mode levels and the normal levels is that now there are these little, I don't know what you call them, but they're like these little purple black hole things that if you touch them, they suck you in, and you have to push the B button a bunch to get out of them. Other than those little things, that's the only difference I see between the Versus mode levels and the normal levels. So, for me, I didn't really find the Versus mode gameplay that interesting. I mean, if I played these stages in the single-player campaign, I'm not really interested in replaying them again in Versus mode. I guess the only time I would probably find that fun to do is if I had an actual friend with me playing it face-to-face. We can talk while we're playing and things like that, but just playing random strangers over the internet on the Wi-Fi for the 3DS is just, it wasn't that interesting to me, which is why I didn't play it that much. So anyway, the Xbox 360 version of this game, I gave it, on a scale of 1 to 5, I gave it a 4 out of 5, because I thought it was a genuinely good game. It had its faults, but it was an overall good game. This game, on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being terrible, 5 being amazing, and 3 being average. And keeping in mind that I gave the Xbox 360 version a 4 out of 5, I think for this game, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. It is, now remember, 3 is an average, so 3.5 is a little bit above average. But I can't give it a 4 out of 5 like I gave the Xbox 360 version, just because I think the Xbox 360 version and the PlayStation 3 version are superior versions of this game. But it is a handheld game, so I can't fault it for that. If you're a Sonic fan and you've got a 3DS, I suggest picking up this game. If you're not a Sonic fan, then you might want to be a little wary of picking up this game. So anyway, that's my review of the game. I am GetJesse, and thank you for watching the playthrough.